Hi everyone. In today's video, we're talking about the two most important and most used asset pricing models. The first is the capital asset pricing model, and the second, the arbitrage pricing theory. By the end of today's video, you'll know the difference between both and how to solve the practice exercise for each one. Welcome back to my channel, where I help analysts and finance students up their game by taking complex finance topics and breaking them down into easy to understand step-by-step videos. All right, like I said earlier, today we're talking about the capital asset pricing model and the arbitrage pricing theory. We're going to go through an explanation of each, the pros and cons of each model, and then we're going to solve a practice exercise together one step at a time. So grab your pen and paper and we're going to get started. All right, let's jump right in. We're going to start by looking at the capital asset pricing model. Basically, it's a model that allows you to calculate the expected rate of return. And the main variable that we're looking at here is the market risk. Let's jump right into the formula, which is expected rate of return is equal to the risk-free rate plus beta times the equity premium. Equity premium is the expected rate of return on the market minus the risk-free rate. This is actually the most widely used formula, the reason being the simplicity that it has and very few variables that we need to figure out or calculate. Like I said, very important, and you can use it to calculate the performance on your portfolio or the expected performance on a share. All right, now that we have one asset pricing model under our belt, let's add another one called the arbitrage pricing theory. This one is more complex. Again, here we're calculating the expected rate of return. The main difference here is in the capital asset pricing model, we were actually only looking at one variable, like I said, which was the market risk. In the arbitrage pricing theory, we're looking at several factors that we call macroeconomical factors. So what can those be? Well, there's a long list. But as examples, you can look at inflation, GDP, unemployment rate, and more. The formula is similar. Basically, it's the expected rate of return is equal to risk-free rate plus the sensitivity to each factor times the premium rate on each factor. All right, let's look at the pros and cons of each model. Let's start with the capital asset pricing model. The pros is that it's quick and easy to apply, as you only looking at a single factor, which is the market risk. It's widely used and accepted in finance, which means that it's easy to communicate, and it's very useful for portfolio evaluation. Arbitrage pricing theory, what it has going for it is the increased accuracy that it provides. Basically, you can pick and choose whichever variables impact your shares the most in order to take it into consideration within your calculation. So those are the macroeconomical factors that we were looking at earlier. So inflation, GDP, unemployment rate, etc. On the con side, really the pros of one is the weakness of the other. So the capital asset pricing model is oversimplified because we're only looking at a single variable, which makes it less accurate, which means that if your shares are impacted by inflation, well, inflation is not going to be taken into consideration in your calculation. Also, it does not adapt to different market conditions. As for the arbitrage pricing theory, it's not quick and easy to apply. You have to know which factors affect the company or shares that you're evaluating. This can lead to a lot of research, models, and experimentation to make sure you've identified the right factors. It's less widely used than the capital asset pricing model, which makes it harder to communicate. And finally, your results may be impacted by the factors that you've chosen. So you need to be very careful about which macroeconomical factors you're looking at, making sure you pick the right ones so that your results are not skewed. All right, let's jump into our first practice exercise. We'll start with the capital asset pricing model. As you can see, they've given us all the data that we need in order to calculate the expected rate of return, the risk-free rate, the beta, and the equity premium. Let's remember our formula. The expected rate of return is equal to the risk-free rate plus the beta times the equity premium. We plug in our numbers and we get an expected rate of return of 14.13%. As you can see, very simple. The hardest thing here is really just memorizing the formula. Once you have that down, it's extremely easy to apply. Okay, let's jump into our second practice exercise. We're diving into now the arbitrage pricing theory. In this case, like mentioned earlier, we need more data because we're looking at different macroeconomical factors. In this case, what is influencing our share evaluation is interest rates, inflation, and GDP. So let's apply the formula. It's the expected rate of return is equal to the risk-free rate times the sensitivity times the risk premium of each factor. Basically, it's a weighted average of the risk premium based on the sensitivity. Once again, we plug in all our numbers and we get an expected rate of return of 20.30%. All right, congratulations. You now know the difference between both models and how to solve each practice exercise. I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you did, please hit the bell and subscribe, and let me know by liking. Until next time.